Welcome to the Deep Dive, where we took a monumental stack of sources, articles, interviews, and deep research and sliced through the noise to bring you the concentrated knowledge you need. Today, we are putting on our black jackets and walking into one of the most intense, highly pressurized, and just visually spectacular environments on television. We're talking about Gordon Ramsay's Hell's Kitchen.
Oh, yeah.
For over 2 decades, this show has promised a career-defining opportunity, turning culinary hopefuls into, well, screaming, collapsing messes, all for that ultimate prize.
The head chef role in a prestigious luxury restaurant, it's high drama, high stakes.
It really is.
And that high drama is precisely what we need to analyze. We have to understand the show's dual identity right from the jump.
What do you mean by that?
Well, on one hand, it is absolutely a real culinary test. It's designed to find a true leader under, incredible pressure. But the sources consistently show it is equally, if not more so, a meticulously crafted, multi-layered psychological experiment. It is heavily produced. It is engineered to maximize fatigue, stress, and most importantly for the ratings, the spectacular, often catastrophic chaos.
Exactly. So our mission today is to cut through that celebrity facade. We're preparing the show itself, if you will, breaking it down into its raw, sometimes really surprising ingredients. We're going to explore what actually happens when the cameras stop rolling, the incredible psychological tactics used to, frankly, break down the contestants, and the hidden realities of that winner's prize. Because, as we'll see, winning the competition is often just the prelude to navigating a whole new set of non-culinary and contractual obstacles.
A completely different kind of kitchen.
Exactly. We're going to contrast the gilded image of the winners with the messy, unpredictable, real-world careers they forge afterward. Okay, let's unpack this.
Right, let's start with that golden ticket, the head chef position and the $250,000 salary. It's the dream. For all the yelling and the incredible amount of raw scallops viewers have witnessed, this prize is supposed to be instantly life-changing. But when you actually review the history of Hell's Kitchen winners, it becomes immediately clear that culinary skill and resilience in the kitchen, well, sometimes they have very little to do with whether they can actually accept and keep the prize.
The roadblocks are astonishingly diverse. I mean, they span everything from legal issues to personal tragedy. It's kind of incredible.
It is.
I think we have to start with Season 11 winner Janelle Witt. Her win was a massive moment. She was the first African-American woman to win Hell's Kitchen.
A huge deal.
A huge deal. And the prize was the coveted head chef position at the Gordon Ramsay Pub and Grill at Caesar's Palace in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
This was set to be a definitive career launch for her.
It absolutely should have been, but she was ultimately barred from taking that job.
And at first the story was very different, right?
Oh, completely. Initially, the public explanation was just this vague reference to her turning down the role due to personal matters.
Which could mean anything.
It could mean anything. It sounded like a simple logistical issue. But the sources that followed, they told a much more somber and harsh corporate reality.
Which is?
Caesar's Palace, as a major casino and hospitality entity, requires mandatory, incredibly thorough drug screening for all executive-level hires.
Of course they do.
You're handling millions of dollars of inventory. You're managing staff on the floor. It's a huge liability. And, well, Janelle Witt failed that test. She tested positive for cocaine.
Wow. That is just such a harsh collision of reality TV fantasy and, corporate compliance.
It really is.
You can survive Ramsay's Kitchen, you can craft the perfect dish, but you still have to clear the hurdles set by corporate HR and local regulatory bodies.
And it speaks volumes about the non-culinary requirements of the prize. It's not just about cooking. It's about management, reliability, and corporate image.
Right.
Which brings us directly to Season 7 winner Holly Ugalde, who faced a completely different kind of external barrier. She won the prestigious position at the Savoy Grill in London.
An amazing prize.
An amazing prize. It meant moving across the Atlantic to work in one of Ramsay's most historical, high-end British establishments. A dream job for any chef.
But she ran straight into the bureaucratic maze of international labor law, didn't she?
A huge, immovable bureaucratic wall. I mean, despite winning this grueling international competition, the UK Home Office denied her a work visa.
So it wasn't Ramsay, it wasn't the company, it was the government.
It was the government. She was deemed legally unable to accept the offered employment because she didn't meet the requirements for skilled worker immigration at that time.
That is just agonizing to go through all of that, to win the title, but be blocked by a governmental agency.
Exactly. So she was forced to take a cash prize, equivalent to the salary instead of the job itself.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture,
What we see is that the winner's trajectory isn't just about their plating technique. It's dependent on their legal standing, their personal history, and the geopolitical rules of two separate nations.
she had the skill.
But not the right passport stamp.
So after that disappointment, what was her professional outcome? Did she turn the fame and the cash into continued culinary success, even if it wasn't at the Savoy?
Well, that's where the story gets even more interesting in its unpredictability. Holly Ugalde actually pivoted completely out of the high-end culinary world.
Really?
Yeah. Post-show, she ended up managing a lighting company.
A lighting company.
A lighting company. Meanwhile, her runner-up, Jay Santos, had a completely different fate. He eventually returned to the show and became a successful sous chef for Ramsay.
So the runner-up actually got closer to the Ramsay machine.
It proves that sometimes the runner-up position actually offers more flexibility or, a clearer path back into the Ramsay ecosystem than the winner's jacket does.
That reframes the entire idea of winning. But the most heartbreaking example of the price of the prize, for me, has to be the inaugural winner, Michael Ray from season 1.
Oh, Michael Ray's story is. It's the most cautionary tale.
He made the difficult decision to decline the offered London apprenticeship because of a deeply private and just incredibly dark reason.
He was struggling severely with a prescription painkiller addiction, opioids, which originated from a back surgery injury.
I had no idea.
He had 2 metal rods implanted in his back, which post-surgery snapped. He was in constant agonizing pain and was dependent on these substances throughout the entire season.
He was competing while in withdrawal.
Performing at an elite level while battling withdrawal and dependence. It's almost unbelievable. He ultimately declined that career-launching London apprenticeship, which would have meant working right alongside Chef Ramsay because he was genuinely terrified.
Terrified of what?
Terrified he would be unable to access his necessary substances in the UK, leading to a catastrophic withdrawal far from his support system.
That is just an unbelievable internal struggle. The cameras captured his ambition and his skill, but never that daily private fight for survival.
Never.
He took the $250,000 prize money instead. How did life unfold after that?
Well, initially it was a success story. He used the prize money to fuel his ambition, opening 2 Los Angeles restaurants, Tattoo and later HK1.
So it was working.
It was. His wife went into labor just 3 weeks after Tattoo's grand opening. But that's when tragedy struck with just devastating force.
What happened?
His daughter died due to complications at birth.
Oh, no.
And this trauma, coupled with his existing dependency, sent Ray into a devastating, prolonged spiral. He was unable to maintain the demands of running high-end restaurants. He collapsed 6 weeks after his daughter's death and just walked away from Tattoo.
And his marriage.
His marriage fell apart and his life completely unraveled.
That is an unimaginable sequence of events.
His addiction became completely unmanageable. He became homeless, sleeping in his truck, at one point beneath an underpass near Hollywood Boulevard.
From winner of a national TV show to homeless.
The desperation grew so intense that when his New Mexico doctor cut off his prescription supply, Ray broke into a local pharmacy to steal what he needed.
Wow.
He eventually relocated to the remote Mojave Desert, where his addiction led to severe isolation and frequent dangerous hallucinations.
So how did he manage to pull out of that?
It's an amazing story of recovery. A turning point arrived when a passerby found him crawling by the side of the road and called 911. He woke up in the hospital, realizing this was rock bottom.
He had to get clean.
He made the decision. He immediately entered rehab, and then he voluntarily surrendered to police for the pharmacy robbery. He served a month in jail, where he was allowed to help cook in the kitchen.
That is a powerful narrative of redemption. It's incredible.
It really is. And today, he's turned that experience into a new chapter. He teaches cooking and runs a successful, highly specialized custom knife company called Skull and Cleavers.
So he's still connected to the culinary world.
But on his own terms. His eventual recovery and professional reinvention demonstrate a different kind of resilience than what Ramsay demands in the kitchen. It's the fortitude to survive trauma and addiction. This whole story just fundamentally reframes the season 1 victory.
It certainly does. And speaking of money, that $250,000 prize is always thrown around as this massive lump sum, but the actual financial breakdown, which we learned thanks to some recent winners, it reveals a significant difference between perception and reality once taxes and contracts are factored in.
Right. The perception is that they win a $250,000 bonus, tax-free, on top of a great job.
Yeah, you get a briefcase of cash.
Exactly. But the reality is far more structured. As season 21 winner Alex Ballou explained, the $250,000 figure is the total compensation package. It includes the salary.
So walk us through the math on that.
Okay, so the winner receives $150,000 of the prize money immediately.
Right.
However, since it's considered a game show win, it is taxed heavily at approximately 40%. So $60,000 is immediately pulled for taxes,
So you're left with $90,000.
netting the winner only $90,000 up front. The remaining $100,000 is allocated as their gross salary for the single year they work at the prize restaurant.
Which translates to about, what, $8,300 a month?
Roughly $8,333 a month before regular withholdings.
Wait, so when you see them celebrating that huge win, they walk away with less than half the advertised cash prize immediately.
That's right.
That changes the entire calculation for contestants.
It absolutely does. I mean, it's a great salary, but it's paid out over 12 months as employment income, not a tax-free bonus. And this financial reality makes the choices some winners make about the job much more logical, particularly when they already have established lives elsewhere.
Which brings us right back to Alex Ballou from season 21. He won the head chef role at Hell's Kitchen Atlantic City, but faced a genuine family conundrum.
Exactly. Ballou's family life was deeply rooted near Nashville, Tennessee. His wife had an established, successful career spanning 14 years, and they had 2 sons.
So stability was key.
Paramount. Moving his entire life for a 1-year, $100,000 salary contract was a very difficult equation.
If he negotiated a part-time deal, though, doesn't that fundamentally devalue the head chef title the show prides itself on? Is he the exception, or is this becoming standard practice for winners with established families?
That's a critical question. It suggests that for some winners, the value of the title and the exposure outweighs the value of the job itself.
So what was the deal he made?
He negotiated an arrangement with Caesars Entertainment, the corporate partner, to work only 1 3-day weekend, so Thursday through Saturday per month for the year.
Just 1 weekend a month.
1 weekend a month. He essentially becomes a special guest chef or a consultant, which allows him to maintain his family structure in Tennessee. But critically, he forgoes the full $100,000 prize salary tied to that full-time commitment.
So the crucial takeaway here for you is what? What does this all mean?
It means the path from the winner's door to genuine career success is fraught with non-culinary and contractual obstacles. You need not only the cooking talent, but the correct legal status, a clean personal record, the logistical freedom to move your entire life, and the willingness to accept the financial structure.
Right.
If you can't manage those external pressures, the logistical and psychological costs, the golden prize can turn into a logistical nightmare or, as we saw with Michael Ray, lead to true personal disaster.
The prize is clearly a minefield of external pressures. But to earn the right to navigate that minefield, contestants first have to survive the actual kitchen. So let's shift now and dive into how the famous chaos, the shouting, the raw food, the meltdowns, how that chaos is actually created by the production. It's clear the environment is toxic, but the deeper sources suggest that chaos is meticulously psychologically engineered.
Yeah, we're moving from the financial cost to the psychological cost. The show's production is designed to maximize stress and extreme fatigue to ensure contestants make dramatic and often entirely predictable mistakes.
They don't just hope for chaos.
They force it, and the primary weapon used in this psychological architecture is severe sleep deprivation.
So tell us about the schedule in detail. How little sleep are these supposed world-class professional chefs actually getting?
On average, contestants report getting just 3 to 5 hours of sleep per night.
3 to 5.
3 to 5. They are filming an astonishing 16 to 18 hours daily. I mean, think about that daily brutal grind. Dinner service often runs very late, sometimes until 11 p.m. or midnight.
And it doesn't end there.
Not at all. That's immediately followed by the tense elimination deliberations, and then they have mandatory, often emotionally draining exit or confession interviews that can easily run until 2 or 3 in the morning.
So if they finish their interviews at 3 a.m., and the next day's challenge or prep starts at 6:30 a.m., they might have barely 3 hours for actual restorative sleep.
Exactly.
That is not just exhaustion. That is medically defined sleep deprivation, which causes cognitive decline.
And the producers actively prevent natural rest, Former contestants have stated that the lights in the communal dorms are centrally controlled.
What does that mean?
They are not gradually dimmed. They are not turned off until every single person is done with their interviews and ready to settle. And then they are all turned on simultaneously, typically between 6 and 7 a.m.
So it's an abrupt, forced awakening for everyone at the same time.
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
an environment designed to push people to the brink of irrationality.
It's essentially a cognitive impairment machine disguised as a cooking show. It's no wonder we see chefs yelling at each other over trivial things or making fundamental errors like confusing salt for sugar.
Well, this raises a critical analytical question, right? How much of the on-screen incompetence, the raw chicken, the scorched risotto, the catastrophic failures in communication, how much of that is a genuine reflection of their long-term culinary skill? Versus how much is simply the predictable result of severe fatigue and relentless psychological stress? When the body and mind are pushed past basic function, professional standards vanish, and errors become unavoidable.
And that guaranteed error rate is what makes for riveting television. Beyond the sleep tactics, they also employ total sensory isolation to heighten that pressure cooker effect.
Complete separation from reality. All external ties are severed. Phones, tablets, smartwatches, even newspapers, everything that connects them to the outside world is confiscated. They live in a total bubble.
And the set design contributes to this.
Absolutely. The dorms and the kitchen sets are specifically built to lack windows and clocks.
That disorientation must be intense. Losing track of time and the rhythm of the outside world surely makes the pressure feel even more relentless and artificial.
Well, it serves two purposes. First, it magnifies minor conflicts. Without external distractions, contact with loved ones, or an outlet for stress, the smallest disagreement over, a kitchen towel can escalate into a season-long rivalry.
And the second purpose?
It's logistical genius. Eliminated contestants are immediately sequestered in separate hotels until filming concludes. They don't go home.
So that makes it easy for producers to bring them back for the finale services.
Or for twist challenges, and crucially, it prevents any leaks or spoilers about the show's outcome.
Now, we've moved from psychological pressure to something a bit more active. We have heard persistent, sometimes very specific allegations that producers don't just rely on exhaustion to create mistakes. Multiple contestants have claimed that the crew actively interferes with the competition.
And if those claims are true, that changes the nature of the competition from skill under pressure to skill against active sabotage.
So what are the claims?
Multiple former contestants have leveled producer sabotage allegations, claiming the crew deliberately creates dramatic failures. Tech Moore from Season 6, for example, alleged that crew members would covertly swap out containers of salt and sugar.
Wait, swapping salt and sugar is a classic trope for chaos, but if it's happening in a competition for $250,000 in a career, that's profoundly unethical.
Oh, absolutely.
Have any seasons acknowledged these allegations directly, or are they consistently dismissed as just typical reality TV complaints?
They are consistently dismissed by the network and producers as standard reality TV grumbling. However, the sheer volume and specificity of the claims make them hard to ignore.
What are some of the other common claims?
The manipulation of cooking equipment. Contestants have alleged that crew members sometimes turn off or subtly adjust the temperature of burners and ovens. A chef juggling 5 orders might not notice that a critical burner suddenly cooled down or was cranked up to searing temperature.
Which leads directly to a disastrous mistake.
Burnt scallops or cold sauces, guaranteed drama.
And adding to this technical difficulty is Ramsay's deliberate banning of a very common professional safety tool.
Correct. Sources confirm that Gordon Ramsay reportedly forbids the use of instant red thermometers in the kitchen.
Why? Why would he do that?
Precisely because it removes the risk. By forcing chefs to rely solely on the difficult and often inaccurate touch-and-feel technique to gauge doneness, he guarantees a higher rate of failure.
Which leads directly to high waste.
And the guaranteed drama of raw protein being served. It elevates the risk for the sake of television.
So, even if the mistake originates with the exhausted chef, the show has removed the modern safety net they would rely on in a normal restaurant. But even when the failures are genuine, the editing process can completely warp the narrative to create specific villains or heroes.
Right.
The dialogue might not be scripted, but the story certainly is.
The editing room is where the real drama is manufactured. It's the most powerful tool they have. The show is heavily edited to create specific narratives, and particularly highly combustible villain arcs. A powerful, specific example that was recounted came from Pat Tortorello, a contestant in season 16.
And what manipulation did he experience?
Pat recalled a service involving a teammate's risotto. When Ramsay tasted the dish and criticized it for being too salty, Pat advised his struggling teammate to taste it, which is a helpful professional gesture.
Okay.
At one point, Pat added a single pinch of salt to a different teammate's dish to properly season it. The editors then took Ramsay's original too salty dialogue and inserted it into the scene of Pat adding that pinch of salt. And then they looped the action of Pat adding the salt twice.
Stop. So they made it look like he was deliberately sabotaging the dish by adding more salt after it was already criticized. That's not just manipulating context, that's inventing malice.
It is a complete transformation of his action from a helpful, minor adjustment into an act of calculated sabotage. It fit him perfectly into a villain narrative they were building.
That's incredible.
And we saw similar narrative manipulation in early seasons. In the raw, unedited footage from season 2, a contestant made a general comment about needing to cook faster. This comment was later edited into a sequence where he served raw chicken.
Oh, I see where this is going.
Making it appear as though he believed rushing the process was acceptable, thereby confirming his on-screen image as incompetent or reckless.
But in reality?
In reality, the comment was about expediting another stage of service entirely. It had nothing to do with the chicken.
So if you sign up for Hell's Kitchen, you are implicitly signing away the right to control your own on-screen persona. You are agreeing to let the producers build whatever narrative they need for TV.
100%.
And that leads to the final question about this section. How do they ensure they have the perfect cast to explode under these manufactured conditions?
It all comes down to casting for conflict. Producers deliberately seek out a very specific profile. Individuals who have solid professional kitchen experience, maybe even management roles, but often lack the finesse required for fine dining.
But the key ingredient isn't skill.
No. Crucially, they actively look for individuals with pre-existing inflated egos and documented emotional maturity deficiencies.
The casting is essentially a guarantee of fireworks.
Precisely. The producers understand that the food service industry has an abundance of talented but temperamental chefs who fit this description. By placing those specific personalities who are already tired and ego-driven into an isolated, sleep-deprived pressure cooker, they set the perfect stage for guaranteed, spectacular conflict and service failures.
The chaos is a mathematical certainty.
It is.
The environment is manufactured, the timeline is controlled, and the cast is selected to explode. That sense of controlled chaos has been epitomized for 2 decades by the man standing in the center of the kitchen, Gordon Ramsay. Analyzing the evolution of his persona really tells the story of how American reality TV has shifted culturally.
We have certainly seen a significant and I'd say necessary shift in Ramsay's public character. He has evolved from the vicious, unpredictable antagonist of the early seasons to the more demanding but ultimately supportive mentor we largely see today.
And that middle era, roughly seasons 5 through 12?
That was peak viciousness.
That's the era where the insults were truly legendary, but also often crossed lines that are culturally unacceptable now.
They were shocking and creative, but yes, they were often deeply offensive and personal. In those early seasons, he was notorious for using gendered insults, calling women cows or bitches, and employing fat insults.
Unthinkable today.
Unthinkable. The non-gendered burns, though, were hyper-vitriolic. We're talking about the classics like calling someone a Yankee Doodle sack of shit,
I remember that one.
comparing a piece of raw salmon to a bison's penis, or sarcastically asking if he needed to email a critique to a contestant's fucking BlackBerry.
If Ramsay compared my dish to a bison's penis today, I think HR would be hearing about it immediately. It's wild how much that culture of acceptable public anger has shifted in a decade.
And that anger was amplified by the way it was packaged. The editing team used dramatic music stings constantly, underscoring the severity of every single outburst.
But it wasn't always the loud yelling that was the scariest, was it?
No. It's worth noting that veterans of the show often state Ramsay's true, deep fury wasn't the loud screaming, but the quiet moments, the cold, intense, controlled rage when he saw genuine unprofessionalism, like when he eliminated Spaghetti Josh mid-service, just dead silent.
Or the Season 3 wedding challenge.
The red team disaster. That quiet moment often felt more terrifying than the shouting.
And Ramsay himself has been very candid about this duality, confirming the difference between his reality persona and his actual temperament when the cameras are off.
He has been extremely clear, famously stating, "I run a restaurant, and FX runs a show. He readily acknowledges the performance aspect.
He knew who his audience was.
He admitted in interviews that he deliberately played up the exaggerated angry persona specifically because American audiences at the time loved the drama. He directly contrasted this with his demeanor on his original UK shows, like the British version of Kitchen Nightmares, where he was far calmer and more constructive.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, this cultural calculation is key. The fading of the scream chef persona reflects a dramatic shift in what audiences are willing to tolerate in entertainment, particularly reality competition.
Absolutely. The shift reflects a growing cultural preference for mentoring over public humiliation and abuse. The success of competition models like the Great British Baking Show, where the stakes are high but the judges are encouraging and constructive, prove that production doesn't need manufactured toxicity to maintain high ratings.
So as the culture changed,
As that cultural norm changed, and insults, especially gender-based ones, became increasingly unacceptable, Hell's Kitchen had to adapt to maintain its mainstream appeal.
which brings us to the modern era, post-season 19, where we see Ramsay fully transition into that parental mentorship role.
The change is genuinely noticeable, driven by several factors. First, the overall talent pool has increased. As the show's reputation has grown, it attracts more genuinely professional chefs, leading to fewer incidents of, Raj-level incompetence that would typically trigger the most extreme outbursts.
Right. And
Second, Ramsay himself has cited his own mellowing with age and wisdom. He attributes this partly to the influence of his daughters, who are now the same age as many of the contestants he's mentoring.
he's gone from the drill sergeant who terrorizes you to the demanding, supportive father figure.
He now focuses intensely on professional development. His true explosive anger is largely reserved only for critical failures that impact food safety, raw protein, cross-contamination, things that would genuinely shut down a professional kitchen.
And he's spoken about his own training.
He has. He publicly stated he finds it more fulfilling to mentor the next generation, acknowledging his own difficult, abusive training under Marco Pierre White, and seeking to instill fortitude rather than just break their spirit.
One challenge specifically exemplifies this new focus on testing for resilience rather than just generating drama, the Season 11 live signature dish test.
Oh, it was a legendary moment of betrayal in the best possible way. The contestants were taken to Las Vegas and told they were attending the premiere of a new Disney animation.
Which they probably believed.
Of course. Instead, the curtains dropped to reveal not a screen, but a complete kitchen set and a live audience of 2,500 people.
Oh my God.
And they were immediately forced to cook their signature dishes on the spot live in front of a massive crowd.
That's a massive psychological curveball designed solely to test their ability to adapt to complete unexpected chaos.
And Ramsay explained the goal explicitly. He wanted to prepare them for the real, unrelenting pressure of being an elite chef, emphasizing, you have to be prepared for everything, anything and everything at any time.
So it showed the evolution.
Exactly. The pressure is still intense, but the purpose is shifting away from just creating a spectacle and towards identifying who truly has the psychological fortitude to succeed outside the comfort of the television studio.
And that leads to our final big question. What does sustained success actually look like after Hell's Kitchen? If the prize is so complicated, where do the winners and most memorable contestants end up years later?
The most robust path to long-term success, by far, involves fully integrating into the Gordon Ramsay North America, or GRNA, corporate machine.
And the poster child for that is?
The definitive, unassailable success story here is Christina Wilson, the Season 10 winner.
She is an absolute powerhouse, and now a fixture on his other shows. You see her everywhere.
Her trajectory is peerless. Christina Wilson rose from starting as chef de cuisine at Gordon Ramsay Steak in Las Vegas to the current vice president of culinary for Gordon Ramsay North America.
VP of Culinary.
VP. She is often cited by industry experts as the best Hell's Kitchen winner because her success transcended the kitchen. It demonstrated high-level corporate leadership, logistical skill, and the ability to manage a brand across multiple venues.
Wilson's trajectory into VP seems unique, though. What specific non-culinary traits did she demonstrate back in Season 10 that set her up for that level of corporate advancement, rather than just leading a single kitchen?
That's a great question. What stood out about Wilson, even in season 10, was her command presence, her consistent communication, and her ability to standardize systems, which is crucial when you're overseeing multiple high-volume restaurants across a continent.
It's a different skill set.
Completely. She exhibited not just the ability to cook, but the ability to teach and scale culinary excellence, which is exactly what a VP of culinary for a massive brand like GRNE needs. She's the proof that the show serves as a high-stakes, extremely effective corporate training program.
Who else has successfully integrated into that high-level GRNA machine?
Michelle Tribble, the season 17 winner, is another strong case study. She spent 2.5 highly successful years as head chef at the Hell's Kitchen restaurant at Caesar's Palace in Las Vegas and remains one of the few recent winners who currently works directly for Ramsay's company. It just illustrates the strength of the pipeline for those who thrive in that corporate environment.
But not everyone stays under the Ramsay umbrella. We see others take entrepreneurial or diversified paths once they have the fame and the title.
And that's the beauty of the platform. Take Paul Niederman, the season 9 winner. He initially worked with the BLT group nationally, leveraging his fame before making the jump to entrepreneurship in Florida.
So he went his own way.
He opened his own successful restaurant, Cell T7, and is now the executive chef at the Jupiter Grill. His career proves that the HK title provides immense credibility and a media boost needed to launch independent projects without relying on the corporate safety net.
And many find themselves moving laterally within the massive hospitality matrix that partners with Ramsay, namely Caesars Entertainment.
That's key context for you to understand. Ramsay's restaurants are largely housed within Caesars Entertainment resorts, Las Vegas, Atlantic City, Lake Tahoe.
So winning is a foot in the door with Caesars.
Exactly. Winning Hell's Kitchen is often a ticket into the Caesars corporate family, open her doors across their immense portfolio of celebrity chef-driven properties.
So give us an example of that corporate hopscotching.
Trenton Garvey, the season 20 winner, is a perfect case. After completing his required prize year at Gordon Ramsay Steak in Vegas, he stayed within the Caesars ecosystem.
Where'd he go?
He first transitioned to chef de cuisine at the Bedford by Martha Stewart, which is located in the same massive resort complex. He then moved horizontally again and is now working as the executive chef at Guy Fieri's Flavortown Sports Kitchen.
All under the same corporate umbrella.
All three are Caesars Entertainment locations. His career shows a strong professional progression, proving the prize is a pipeline into the high-volume, competitive Vegas Atlantic City hospitality world, even if he's not cooking exclusively for Ramsay anymore.
It's also vital to remind the listener that you don't even have to secure the top spot to achieve genuine corporate-level success.
That's perhaps the most important realization. Ariel Fox, who was the runner-up in season 18, is a tremendous success. She's currently the vice president of culinary for Del Frisco's DF Grill on the East Coast.
Another VP role for a runner-up.
A massive corporate role. She also leveraged her fame to publish a children's cookbook. This shows that the visibility and credibility gained just by lasting until the finale is often the real marketable prize, leading to corporate leadership and media roles far beyond the hotline.
We can't discuss recent history without mentioning the unprecedented complication of the pandemic and how it impacted the prize.
Oh, the pandemic threw a complete wrench into the system. Ariel Malone, the season 15 winner, and Corey Sutton, the season 19 winner, were both prevented from taking their prize jobs.
At Hell's Kitchen, Las Vegas, and Lake Tahoe, right?
Correct. The restaurants were temporarily shut down due to COVID-19 restrictions. In those highly unusual circumstances, they were both giving the full $250,000 prize money minus taxes instead.
So they kept the title, but missed the executive role.
Exactly. The corporation essentially paid them out to avoid a contractual violation.
Finally, let's revisit the story of the quintessential underdog, Dave Levy, from season 6. His victory, in my mind, perfectly encapsulates the trait Ramsay truly values above all others.
Dave Levy's win is fascinating because it proves that resilience and sheer willpower are often more important than technical skill, especially in Ramsay's eyes.
What was his story again?
Dave's competed with a severe handicap, a fractured wrist. He was working essentially with one functional arm for almost the entire season. He was the definition of an underdog.
That's right, the one-armed bandit.
Exactly. His ability to maintain performance, leadership, and a positive attitude, despite a significant ongoing physical disability, demonstrated the sheer necessary resilience that Ramsay explicitly seeks.
And you mentioned this mirrors Ramsay's own difficult training.
Yes. Ramsay has often spoken about his own brutal early training under Marco Pierre White, where physical pain and psychological breakdown were part of the daily routine. For Ramsay, Levy's victory was less about crafting the perfect Wellington and more about psychological and physical fortitude in the face of insurmountable odds.
It's the ability to endure.
It's the ability to endure the environment even when it's actively fighting against you. That is the secret ingredient.
So we've broken down the incredibly high price of the prize, the intentional manufacturing of psychological pressure through sleep deprivation and sensory isolation, and the profound evolution of the Gordon Ramsay character, from screamer to mentor.
And the overarching conclusion is that the competition is real, but the environment is engineered. The show functions as a crucible designed to test psychological resilience, which, ultimately, is the single most necessary trait for any chef aiming for elite success in the brutal, high-pressure reality of the restaurant industry.
Whether they end up working for GRNA or launching their own concept.
Exactly.
The reality of Hell's Kitchen is complex and often messy. It's a game of skill, yes, but equally a game of endurance, clean legal standing, and narrative perception. We've seen how a career opportunity can be instantly derailed by something as external as a single filch drug test or an unforeseen international visa rejection. While others, like Christina Wilson, turn their reality TV fame into genuine corporate leadership positions that govern continents. The deep dive today revealed that the true culinary excellence Ramsay seeks might be less about crafting the perfect beef Wellington and more about the sheer psychological fortitude required to survive on 3 to 5 hours of sleep while the producers are allegedly turning down your burner.
And that leads to a profound final question for you, the listener. We've seen how chefs must master far more than just cooking. What fundamental skill beyond the technical proficiency of your own craft, the daily tasks you were paid to perform, do you need to master to handle your own personal Hell's Kitchen?
That constant professional pressure, the sudden external obstacles, the unexpected bad news, or just the daily grind of exhaustion.
Is your resilience or your ability to adapt under unfair stress the defining factor in your ultimate success? Think about the one non-technical skill you must develop right now to endure your professional environment.